Hello there guys and welcome back to Planet Coaster. We're back in the town of Caelfall to create some more stuff. So we're starting off with building some of the surrounding kind of rocks and scenery around this kind of rapids ride. I'm not really sure what the theme of the rapids ride is. It's become a kind of amalgamation of a few different themes. I mean, there's some kind of Congo River Rapids inspired scenery, inspired by Congo River Rapids at Alton Towers, which is a kind of like African kind of themed style ride, something like that, in the kind of Congo, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of themed like that. It's just placing a lot of foliage and kind of rocks and scenery and that kind of stuff at the moment. So yeah, it's probably not the most interesting thing. However, to me, it's kind of therapeutic, and I really enjoy building things like that. Now, I wanted to kind of clear out some of the scenery around, I say scenery, I mean the terrain. I wanted to clear out a bit of the terrain around the kind of ride, because when you build these rapids rides, they cut out. If you select the, I think, auto tunnel option, it does a good job of like a tunneling through the terrain. However, it leaves you with these kind of sharp, jagged edges. So I just tend to get a kind of low intensity push brush, and then I just tap gradually on the edges, and it tends to clear a lot of it away. So yeah, that's probably the best way I find to do things like that. So I'm just building a little cave for the ride to go through. It like comes out from underground into this cave, and then comes back out of it and just does a little loop around and ends up going back to the station that way. So yeah, the tunnel comes very close to the station for the kids coaster. Now, I don't want to do a massively big station for the kids roller coaster. I mean, that's going to be something in a later episode that I tackle. So I don't want to do anything like overly dramatic. I've already built quite a lot onto the whole kind of map and park, and it's actually become extremely laggy to run this park now. I think on low to lower settings I'm getting like 15, maybe 20 FPS, which is okay for now, but as soon as I add a few more objects in and a few more bits of foliage, which I'm going to end up doing quite soon, the park is going to be running at like 10 frames per second. So I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to record any of the cinematics, as if ordinarily I would run the game in Ultra, and then I'd use Cheat Engine to kind of slow the game down. But the issue I'm finding is that as soon as I put it onto Ultra, the game is unplayable, literally. I can't even move the camera even with Cheat Engine enabled. So it becomes a bit of a pain to actually deal with. Now, the fences I'm putting in now don't stay. This whole path that I'm building along doesn't remain in the end. So this is a bit of a kind of like bit of an experiment just to see how I thought the idea of it would look, and in the end I was a bit like, you know what, I'm not a big fan of this. So I end up deleting it, clearing it up, removing a lot of stuff out of it, and I end up tidying up the park in the end. So at the moment I thought it was kind of a bit too broad. It was kind of like all over the place, really. As you can see there, I shut down my game and restarted it. I was talking to some friends online. So I wanted to try and build some new kind of fences, or kind of like banisters that the peeps could walk alongside. These would be adjacent to the paths. I'm not sure what I'm doing there. I think I'm talking to people. I'm not entirely sure. Well, I'm back anyway. So yeah, just kind of experimenting with a few different themes, kind of placing some pillars down, moving things around, and that tends to be what I really do in Planet Coaster. I tend to experiment a lot and just kind of use lots of different kind of scenery pieces. I mean, I'm by no means like the most efficient with this game. I'm sure there are a lot of pieces I don't use, and I do intend to use some more of those. I mean, for one thing, I've not even touched the sci-fi set. I don't know why. I just haven't really got round to it. So that is something that I'm going to do at some point in the future. I will end up doing a project with the sci-fi. But yeah, that's something for a later date. I do have some kind of ideas in mind for it. And as you can see here, I'm just kind of fiddling around with bits of that fence. moving it around, and then eventually I just get rid of it. So this was all kind of like wasted time. And it's not really wasted, because I don't think any of the time that I spend in Planet Coaster is wasted, because it's always experimenting with new ideas and trying different kinds of pieces of scenery out and just kind of playing around with them. Though I'm trying to keep a kind of cohesive theme for the rest of this ride, because I seem to go kind of on a bit of a tangent with the ride itself, especially with that kind of African building. But I do like the look of it, and I've had people tell me that they think it looks really good as well. So I'm going to keep the African building there, because it's kind of like a nice little scenery kind of piece, kind of interesting to look at. I think probably the one thing that you'll know about me is that foliage is one of my favourite things. I absolutely love placing down bits of foliage. And to be fair, I do actually use, in this build, a couple of different blueprints from some different creators. I mean, in this I think in this part I placed down, I don't know who it's made by, but I can't remember who actually made it. I downloaded it off the workshop, but either way, it's a kind of waterfall cascade, and it's actually one of my favourite workshop pieces, so that's a little bit of information for you. So, and also I think it will be in a later episode to do with building the kind of entrance to the theme park, so look out for that. It's going to be, I try to build a kind of village kind of entrance. And I ended up using Delay Designer's not medieval, fantasy shops. They just seemed to fit the theme really well, and they were perfect for what I was looking for. So, I think those are the only two blueprints I use, apart from ones that I've created my own, just to kind of fill out space with foliage and stuff. Because placing rocks is actually a lot more difficult than it looks in a time lapse. It can get very repetitive and a bit boring, but I do enjoy it to an extent. It can just get a bit kind of daunting when you have to place like over 1,000 rocks in the space of a short amount of time. So yeah, just I shortened the ride a little bit there, because it came out way too far, and I didn't really need to use it all that. It didn't need to use up all of that footprint quite as much as it was. And that's I've just placed down there. That is the other blueprint piece I use. I'm not sure who made it, but whoever made it, thank you very much. It's one of my favourite pieces of this, actually. It looks really good. Actually, no, I tell a lie. There is a third blueprint piece, and you can actually see it. Like I just placed it down there. It's that kind of I'm not really sure what to call it. It's kind of like a rocky archway, and it has special effects of water coming down it. Then I tried to replicate this nice kind of piece of waterfall coming down onto the rapids as well. So this part of the ride will get you absolutely soaking wet. And that's one thing I find about rapid rides, actually, is that they never really soak you. Not that I'm a big fan of wet rides in general, but it's just kind of one of those things. It just kind of... I wish rapids kind of got you a bit more wet. Yeah, that's just a kind of little thing about me. I just wish they were a bit more kind of soaking. Now, my partner wanted me to place down a red rock in this, and I'm not sure if I've placed it already. But she was like, you have to place a red rock. And I was like, really? And then she went on a tangent about this being a desert. And it's plainly not. But either way, she liked the pink flowers anyway, and that was a big thing. So removing some of the palm trees, because they weren't the look I was going for. I was kind of trying to go for a kind of more mysterious, kind of foresty vibe with this ride. So yeah, I think that's the whole kind of park in general. Is it's kind of set in a kind of forest. You've got this little village and this castle on the kind of set in the middle of a kind of forest, and you've got these little archers. They're trying to kill a drat for dinner. Yes. So I realised that I hadn't extended these fences out, so that was something that I thought I'd better tackle pretty quickly and get those done with. And duplicating some of the fences around, moving them around a bit. It's all just kind of fixing up bits in this episode. I kind of wanted just to, like, I just kind of wanted to add a few things, sort a few things out, and then just kind of, you know, get on with it, really. So, yeah. I kind of wish I built some of the other fences on this kind of building style, because otherwise it gets quite difficult to actually place a few of the scenery pieces. And then I had notorious difficulty clicking one of those fence pieces. It was an absolute nightmare to fix. It just would not select that piece. So yeah, just filling in some more bits of scenery. As you can tell, this is the rocks and foliage episode. Yes, it's just kind of outlining the ride, really. Just to give people something interesting to look at as they're kind of going around the ride. Adjusting the path there, realising that there was a massive, like, flow issue, which I haven't fixed still. I've just kind of left it to how it is, because there's a nice amount of people in the park at the moment, so I don't have to worry too much about it. And yeah, using that kind of tip I used earlier, just going around using the little push brush just to kind of push some of the edges down around the rapids. Because once you've got rocks in, it doesn't really matter so much. They give the kind of texture and the kind of bumpiness of the ground that you really want. So I put this jester in because I love the jester. Some market shops. And then I finish off with building this little bridge from the exit over to the rest of the park. So yeah, using a few, I think it's stucco I end up using. I wanted to use limestone, or lime plaster I think it's called, but they don't actually have an archway piece. So yeah, that was the thing that I couldn't end up doing, so unfortunately. However, I like the look of the bridge in the end anyway. It looks quite nice, and there's some cool little kind of like boards that I would imagine would have been nailed onto it just to kind of I can imagine their health and safety team going, yes, we need to board up some of these pieces, they just don't look right. So, yeah, that's my impression of a health and safety team at a theme park. Look, there we go, there's the boards. They look quite nice in the end. Yeah, if that's your kind of thing. So, yeah, just finishing up the ride, and that's it for me today. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye!